Everyone has been wronged before. Everyone has been slighted. Everyone has been treated unfairly. And everyone has at least once thought of getting back at those who wronged them. Maybe it was nothing more than a passing thought. Maybe there was genuine consideration. And for some, maybe they went through with it, getting their revenge, getting their vengeance. Matt Reeves' The Batman focuses on the concept of vengeance and shows where it could lead, as seen with the Riddler in the movie's opening act, attacking indiscriminately. While most of his targets have a purpose and aren't necessarily innocent, Riddler will still target those who haven't wronged him directly or have nothing to do with his quest, even being so willing to attack, harm, or kill civilians to achieve his goals for vengeance. This shows us where vengeance can take a person, what it can turn someone into, which is a great consequence to keep in mind as we meet
Bruce Wayne.
Our introduction to Bruce is him narrating over various crimes occurring in Gotham, the bat signal lighting the sky serving as a warning to those on the streets, while Bruce specifies that he must carefully choose his targets. This does show that Bruce has a certain level of awareness about what he could become, however, it also displays a certain level of blindness about what occurs around him. Yes, he chooses to fight a gang and save a man from their violence, however, this man fears the caped figure in front of him, since Bruce hasn't made an effort into showing citizens of Gotham that he's trying to help. To them, he's an unknown, another nutjob on the streets getting into fights because Bruce has neglected the people. This has made it so that both the Batman and the Riddler have, through vengeance, become symbols of fear for the corrupt. However, those in fear of the Riddler are the corrupt elites at the top, the roots of the problem, and those in fear of the Bat are the criminals on the streets, men and women forced into a life of crime by circumstance. This is a fact that Bruce doesn't realize. He doesn't see these people as complicated, he just sees them as criminals. Something that is really unfortunate for them, as this is the most brutal version of the character that we've seen on screen. Because Bruce is fueled purely by vengeance, and it's consuming him. His vengeance has blinded him to anything but the mission. In his eyes, the only way to help the city is by putting on the cape and cowl and brute forcing his way through any situation. He can't fathom helping in any other way, and his lack of action as Bruce Wayne is a large part of what invites the Riddler to commit his crimes against those of Gotham. This blindness is also apparent in Bruce's pragmatic thoughts on the victims of the Riddler. While these men are by no means innocent, Bruce shows them no empathy, simply stating that they shouldn't have gotten involved like that in the first place, and seeing the situation as just another step in this current chapter of his mission. This goes even further as Bruce ignores and disregards information about a kidnapping because it isn't part of his mission, which inevitably leads to the victim's death, something Bruce once again meets with, she shouldn't have gotten involved. The irony in this is that Bruce's lack of involvement in Gotham's affairs is what's kept the city stuck. You can even see it within the city's architecture. Gotham is stuck in the past. Police cars and stations look to be from an outdated age. Buildings left unfinished, outdated, and in disrepair. Problems that a man with the resources of Bruce Wayne could solve fairly quickly. Due to this lack of hope or a symbol to rally behind, many Gothamites rally behind the Riddler. Bruce, unlike the Riddler, has shut himself off and hasn't shown the world his intentions to help and hasn't made an effort to show them. Riddler, however, is promising something. He's promising change. Something that in the eyes of the people, Bruce Wayne and the Bat aren't doing. Funnily enough, despite this promise of change, Riddler, just like Bruce, doesn't care for anything outside of his mission. Despite promising betterment, retribution for the downtrodden, he actively puts countless civilians at risk multiple times. This is an extreme of Bruce's own negligence towards those outside of his mission. Bruce does not see the struggle of the Gotham lower class. He's so consumed by his vengeance he doesn't take the time to figure out why there's so much crime, and why despite him being on a crusade against it under cape and cowl, the crime rates just seem to rise. Because despite his trauma, Bruce was shielded by a privileged youth and was now blinded by vengeance. He can't comprehend why anyone would turn to a life of crime, something that Selina Kyle calls him out on. Now, Riddler claims to see the struggle, but that's merely a claim, as Riddler in reality is doing this for his own selfish gain, for his own ego, for his own vengeance. Bruce's lack of a public image comes to harm him as the Riddler reveals to the world that Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, had threatened a reporter in an effort to cover up a story about Martha, Thomas's wife. When this reporter refused, Thomas, in a moment of ignorance, would panic and go to the mob to solve his problem, accidentally putting a hit on this reporter and getting him killed. With this information now out, it paints an incriminating picture of the reclusive Bruce Wayne who has made no effort in Gotham. What could he be hiding? Is he another corrupt elite? Well, if we can't punish his father, then the consequences should fall on the silent, unknown Bruce Wayne. This leads to the near demise of Alfred, which is when Bruce's mission begins to fall apart. Upon the reveal of his parents' actions, the two people whose memory fueled his mission, it's the first moment of reflection on his vengeance, the first shock he needs to stop himself from being fully consumed by it like the Riddler. Bruce realizes there is more in him than just vengeance. He's not just one thing. In him there is fear, there is love, and there's concern for what he has left. As Bruce begins to break free from this consumption, it begins to overtake Selina, like a virus feeding off the trauma of others, and Bruce takes his next step away from vengeance by stopping Selina from being consumed by hers. This is also the first instance of Bruce preventing the death of someone who isn't innocent, finally showing empathy and concern for others. Riddler's speech to his followers makes Bruce realize how neglected Gotham truly is, another crack in his mindset as he sees that Bruce Wayne could have helped, maybe even more than his alter ego, but hasn't. Bruce scrambles to do what he can in this final moment where everything is on the line. Every life in Gotham is at risk. He struggles, but he's helped, because despite having been so fueled by vengeance that he inspired the Riddler, displaying heroism in times it was needed inspired others like Gordon, and more so Selina. Selina saves him from losing his life and nearly loses her own, a moment which leads Bruce into an attack fueled by adrenaline and rage, nearly crossing a line before he's stopped, as Gordon saves him from losing himself. As the Riddler's followers are unmasked, they proclaim to be vengeance, the very same proclamation Bruce has made all film, and this moment is what makes it so Bruce's mission fully breaks. He realizes he can't just be vengeance. Vengeance doesn't help. It can only lead to more hurt. Bruce, Riddler, and Selina's vengeance all stem from the same event, the death of the Waynes. For Bruce it was a threat, for Riddler a betrayal, and for Selina a catalyst, an event that would have led them all to the same place if they allowed vengeance to consume them. But Bruce and Selina were able to break free. Finally, Bruce forgoes the mission, taking a chance on his life to save the downtrodden people of Gotham. And as Bruce, as Batman, finally extends a hand to those in need, they reach back and follow him. They trust that he'll save them, that he'll help, but only after he's finally let go of vengeance. And something else. Hope. A hero. The Batman. Vengeance is dangerous, and it's tempting. Not everyone is morally perfect, and you don't have to be. But you do have to make sure you don't lose yourself in your traumas, in your past, in your vengeance. We all have our wounds, and instead of taking your pain and using it as fuel for rage and destruction, you can take the experience and use it to try and save others from what you had to suffer. People don't need vengeance. People need help. And you, no matter how or why, can always help. Even if just a little bit. Do your best. I promise, it'll always be enough.